Matthew Slater, Devin McCourty, thank you guys. It is awesome to see you. I'm really appreciative of you guys taking the time to be with me today, and I look forward to having a little conversation with you guys, chopping it up a little bit, and hearing how you guys are doing. I miss seeing you both. It's been a tough year for us all. We've all had to sacrifice a lot of things, and the one thing that I've gotten out of, especially being here in the building, is missing you two guys. Being able to have that 5-10 minute conversation with you guys. I really enjoy listening to you guys. I've often asked you guys for advice and different things, and it's been amazing. You really don't realize how much you miss seeing people until something like this hits us. And so it's been a real interesting year. I've been following you guys and watching the things that you guys do, and I've been really proud to say that I know you guys. I can call you my friends, and I'm appreciative of what you guys do off the field as well as on the field, but more so what you guys have been able to do off the field, and it hasn't gone unnoticed. You know, I was joking with someone a couple of days ago about how the league has changed. 39 years ago, almost 40 years ago, the toughest thing we had to do was be a player rep. And no one wanted that position. And guys would often come to me and say, Tip, you can be the player rep. They won't cut you. You know, you got seniority and you're solid. And I'm like, hey, man, I don't want that job. And I said, you guys can have it, and I just want to play football and take care of my business on the field. Because back then, it was considered an outside distraction. It was not being focused on football. Look at where we are now. You guys are winning championships, playing football. You have your families, and you're also able to get together with your teammates and make things happen, and it's amazing. And like I said, this is something that I thought would be pretty special for you guys to talk a little bit about. Monday meetings. I heard and saw and listened to what takes place, and I wanted to know, it doesn't matter, Matthew or Devin, you guys can give us a little breakdown of how that went for you guys, those Monday meetings.
Yeah, man, just piggybacking on what you said, Tip, I think how you started this conversation, talking about how the year was just interesting. Everything was different. And I think as much as we missed football with the offseason being taken away and not being able to be around the guys and everything virtual, when we got back together, we just couldn't avoid what was going on in the world outside of us. Even in our virtual meetings, we had multiple conversations because of the things that were going on. And I think when those things happen, people kind of have a sense that you'll get over it. Life will move forward. But right as we started practicing in camp, you know, something else happens. And I still remember that meeting we had where it was kind of impromptu. You know, certain teams were canceling practice, and we got off the practice field and we just opened up and talked as a team. And I think from there, the leadership of the team decided, as great as those conversations were amongst ourselves, we wanted to do more. And obviously more was what you talked about, the social justice fund of raising more money and giving more money away. But it was also educating ourselves. It was giving guys the opportunity to sit in front of a screen and, as a team, and learn from people. And it was amazing learning about youth and young adults who became involved in gangs and trying to find their ways out. It involved meeting with an organization that was founded by police officers who mentor kids right in Boston. It was learning about food security and about the homeless. It was Bears Nigerian, our very own, educating us about Armenia and their struggles. So I think overall, when you talk about Mondays, we became a well-rounded group. You know, it allowed us to talk about so many different things, and it allowed us to put things that are important to us in the forefront for an hour outside of football. And I really think that fulfilled us in many different ways that winning games just don't. I think everyone walked away feeling like, hey, I had a huge part in making somebody else's life better.
That's awesome. And Matthew, you were really touched by Coach Belichick and his end of the year talk to the media. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. I think, echoing what Devin said, this year was a year of growth and education for our team in a lot of ways. And I think because as a result of these meetings and these conversations, we gained a better understanding of who we are as people. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, that'll be something that really benefits this organization moving forward as we connect it at deeper levels. I certainly appreciate Coach Belichick taking the time to get behind this and giving players a platform to educate themselves, to express themselves, and to just get to know one another, be vulnerable with one another. And certainly we all know how Coach Belichick is with his approach to football, and that's what's enabled him to have so much success. But for him to get outside of his comfort zone a little bit and allow us the platform for those types of things, I think was transformative for our team. And I think, as I said, it'll be something that we reap the harvest from, for years to come. So that I tip the hat to his leadership, and I hope that we can build upon what we did this past season.
32 players, 10 coaches, 2 scouts, some front office employees donated. That was pretty special. I mean, I know you guys have had pretty good numbers through the years of support from different folks, but that had to be pretty good to you guys, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I think for the first 2 years, you had a number of $250,000 you can raise up to, and the craft organization would match. And the first 2 years, we fell short of that. And obviously, I think, as great as our front office is, I don't think they had any hesitation to still put their full 250 in. And that was something for me that I was like, man, we have an organization here. We have an owner and a president, and Mr. Kraft and his son, Jonathan, who are all in on social justice and creating change and creating new opportunities for people. I'm like, for us as the players and coaches, and let's make it special. And before the previous 2 years, it was kind of the player social justice fund, and this year, talking to a bunch of different guys on the team out of our steering committee, we was like, this isn't a player thing. Like this is a people thing. Let's get everybody involved. Let's let everybody have the opportunity to be in. And the coaches stepped up, scouts, like you said, front office people, like everyone wants to be in. And I think that's what's so special about the Social Justice Fund. It isn't, one guy making all decisions, or it's a group effort. And this year we've gotten to have the different organizations in the building virtually talking to us. And I think that way everyone gets to learn about these organizations, and hopefully in the near future when we're able to live a little bit on the edge and see people in person and host events, we can't wait to be able to go to those organizations and have them come to us. We look forward to not just donating that money, but actually being a part of the community and getting to know people. And like Slade always talks about, just building, genuine, true relationships.
I was going to ask Matthew, the collaborative fund, how did that make you guys feel being able to make that donation? What's the feeling? I mean, we all know it's awesome to be able to give back, and we know that, it's nothing's better than being able to help people that can't help themselves. Matthew.
Yes, I've always believed personally that it's better to give than to receive. And it's also my personal belief that to whom much is given, much is required. And that's, that statement applies to a lot of different areas. Certainly we've been given a lot as far as the opportunities that we have, the resources that we have. And I do feel as though we have an obligation to pass along that blessing. That blessing wasn't given to us just so that we could hold it to ourselves and hoard it. I think that we have a unique vehicle through football to connect with people relationally, like Devin was saying, to connect with people financially, and try to make a difference. I believe the game of football is a beautiful game for what it is on the field, but for what it allows you to do off the field as well. It provides a platform unlike any other, in my opinion, and you can do a lot of good with it, and you can affect a lot of people's lives in a positive way. And I'd like to take just a few seconds to praise Devin and his leadership, because he had a vision for a lot of the things that we've been able to do over the last few years, even when it didn't seem like it'd be a possibility. And he stuck to it, and he instilled belief in us that, we can really make a difference, and we can push the needle in a positive direction and help a lot of people in need. So I'm thankful for men like Devin, who live by conviction, who continue to act with belief. And it was exciting this year. It was great to see so many people get involved. So many people attempt to educate themselves by having tough conversations, by learning, by asking questions. So it was a very encouraging year. I'm so fortunate that I was able to be a part of it. And again, I look forward to the future and what this organization, the players, and the staff will continue to do moving forward.
I want to move along with something. Black History Month. What does it mean to you guys?
Yeah, I think for me, it's a chance to pause and reflect and look at the journey that Black Americans have had in this country. And certainly, there's many ways to look at it. You could look at the many trials that we faced as a people, but you can also look at the many accomplishments that we've been able to achieve despite our circumstances. And for me, it's a time to continue to educate myself, because I think history is very important. When you look at things that have happened in the past and you look at where we are now, the link is huge. It's huge to have that link and to understand that the past oftentimes dictates the future. So I look at all the many great Black Americans and the struggles that they've been through, the things they achieved. They've allowed me to be where I am today, even within the game of football. Because as we know, football has progressed when you talk about race and the involvement of black folks. So it's a time to celebrate. It's a time to reflect. It's a time to educate, and and just be thankful.
Absolutely.
For the many men and women who came before us, who paved the way for us to do the things that we're doing today.
Dev?
Yeah, I think it goes to what you just mentioned. Almost 40 years ago as an NFL player, you guys had to think twice about being player reps. And, I think about now, we don't think about that really at all. There's a bunch of guys whose hands go up in the air to be player reps. And I think, like Slay said, it's just the advancement of Black people, the same way you guys advance the game of football for men like myself and Slay to be able to play and do great things. There are people before us who have advanced things. And those things are, we could go on for hours and hours about those things that we learn in school, and multiple things about Black history that as we get older, we have to go find on our own. And I think this month is a time to spotlight that. It's time to spotlight the great accomplishments. And it's also a time to think about how we need to move forward, how we need to incorporate more Black history. I think myself and a lot of other players, you're embarrassed sometimes. You get on, we got a chance to have Rasan Hall on from the ACLU, and he starts speaking about things that happen in American history for Black people. And as he's talking about it, a lot of times you're like, I didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know this. And, I think for us as people, we have to continue to educate ourselves, and really us as a country. And you can't really figure out where you're going to go and what you're going to be until you know your history, your past, and how it's going to help you move forward. So it's a great opportunity, I think, for anybody to just to sit and think about the great Americans, and even your ancestors, the people that have come before you, grandparents, all those people who, broke down barriers. And sure, so I just think of Asia Wilson, WNBA player, statue goes up of her at South Carolina, and she gets up there, and the first thing she talks about is her grandmother. When her grandmother was growing up, she used to have to walk around the campus because she wasn't allowed to step foot on the campus. And she said, that's just 2 generations before my grandmother. She said, now there's a statue with me on the campus she couldn't step foot on. And to me, that's Black history. That is Black History Month. And it's awesome to be doing something on a platform like this to advance so many people.
Best advice you guys could give to young players wanting to be leaders both on the field and in their communities?
I think I'd say you have to be your own man, or own woman, whatever it is. You have to decide the type of person that you want to be, establish a code, if you will, that you're going to live by, and stay as true to it as possible. And certainly when you step out and lead, there are going to be critics. There are always going to be critics when you decide to do something that others aren't doing or lead in a unique way. And I think that you have to learn how to be as confident as you possibly can, as you possibly can be in who you are and the things that you believe in. And, I would encourage those young men and women who are trying to lead and have an impact, just to be steadfast. I think being steadfast in what you're doing is so important. Don't doubt, don't waver, just set that goal and go for it. And I think that you'll be surprised how people respond to that. Even when they don't agree with you, I think that they'll respect the fact that you stand for something and are willing to sacrifice and pursue it. So I hope that we see, the young generations coming behind us take the torch from people like ourselves and take it to higher points. I hope that they find it within themselves to lead and stand for the right things, and hopefully that promotes the change that we all ultimately want to see, and that's a country and a world that's one and that's united in the right way.
Yeah, Slate hit it right on the head, and I think when you asked that question, I thought of your son, Kobe, right away, because of the constant conversations we have. I mean, we were just texting each other 2 days ago, and as things come up, I think one thing for young people is you have mentors and you have people all around you, not necessarily an NFL player, but a teacher, a parent, people who have navigated and stood out and stood up for different things they believe in. Use those resources. Times will get tough when you stand up for something and you want to do something great and you're a little unsure and you're trying to build that confidence. Slate talks about lean on mentors, lean on them to ask them questions to see how they fought through different things. And I think through that, you find yourself and you find where your strength comes from. And I know that's helped me out a lot, leaning on people who have helped me to build my faith. And with my faith growing, my confidence grew even more with conviction of some of the things I was going through. And then I would say second is find like-minded people. As great as it is standing up for something, it's a lot easier doing it with a group of people. There's strength in numbers, and I think for all you young people who want to do things, start in the most basic form, your family, start in your household, getting people to understand your passions in your household. Then if you're on a team or a part of a club, speaking to those people, just grow from the amount of people in your circle. And, for me, it's been awesome just to see your son dive deep into that, helping him with a project he did, interviewing me, and from there through the interview, asking a question to then having another conversation. And for me, it's great to see because he is the next generation. And we go from talking about social justice, creating change, to playing free safety, reading the deep middle, being a robber. And it just shows that so many people don't understand a lot of times how athletes are just well-rounded. They want to do so many different things. So I'm so inspired by the next generation of young adults, whether college or high school, how intrigued they are about bringing change and how they want to do. They're more bold than a lot of us. So I'm happy to be in this position and can't wait to watch the future.
Awesome. You guys, we talk about foundation. We know standing on shoulders of others. I know what it was like when I came into the league. I know what it's like to watch you guys be in the league now, and it's truly amazing. And there's always something that drives us that people don't ever get to know about until they truly get to know us personally. But there's always that drive. And I have a connection sort of with both you guys. Matthew, your dad wasn't that easy on me when I face him. And he truly was the boss when he was out there lining up in that three-point stance. And I had to work. I had to snap my chin strap a little tighter. But your dad, your mom, I've known them for a very long time. A lot of Pro Bowls in Hawaii and hanging out. But your dad truly is the boss. Talk to me about that new award that he got. I thought that was the ultimate award, and it kind of goes to how you were raised a little bit.
Yeah, I can't say enough about my father and how fortunate I've been to have him in my life, and the man that he is and the way that he's just inspired me in so many ways. And, when I think about my dad, for a lot of people, the first thing that come to mind is what he's accomplished on the football field. But for me, it's the man that he is. And the single most important thing that my dad has ever shared with me is his faith. And I think for the two of us, you talk about foundation, and I think this ties into everything that I try to do. It's the foundation that we have in Christ and the faith that we have. And I think the way that he raised my brother and I to be men of God, to answer to something that's bigger than ourselves, and to let that be our compass has been huge. And I know that my dad, if you ask him about his career or any of the things that he's been awarded with or been able to accomplish, he would all attribute it to God's divine plan for his life. And I feel like football, the Lord has used football to really bless our family, to teach us so much about him, about life, about each other. And I'm just thankful that my dad set the example that he did, led the way that he did for my brother and I, and showed us how to be men. And I realized what a blessing that is. I realized that everyone doesn't have that opportunity for whatever the reason may be. So, everyone wants to talk about football with my dad. I always like to talk about his faith, our shared faith, and just the type of man that he is. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that my mom was the one who really keeps us all in line. So just thankful for both my parents.
That's awesome. Dev, Jersey. Anytime I see Jersey guys, man, I'm like, I get all mushy and I'm on the fence and I'm trying to promote and help and push and do what I can for those guys. But I know how tough it is coming out of Jersey. I know your mom has been huge supporter for you and your brother. And, I always follow stories, different things that, what motivated this guy, what got this guy to do that and this guy to do that. But it sort of cracked me up when I heard you got one scholarship offer from Rutgers. Are you kidding me? And you're running a 4.40. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, and getting that Rutgers scholarship was a struggle. And it's funny, I remember the first time Tip came up to me and told me he's from Irvington, New Jersey. And Jay's wife is right from Irvington, New Jersey. And it made me think of Slate. One time we were working out this past off season, and Slate said to us, he said, if you ever think about it, we don't choose our parents. We don't choose a lot in our life. Like God has already chosen that. And For me, I was very lucky, just like Slate talked about. My father passed away when we were 3 years old, and for some reason, God saw fit that we got my mom, Phyllis Harrell, because we needed her. She was as tough as they come. She ran a household and she ran a pretty tight ship. And I remember just what you're talking about, that experience of having only one Division 1A offer to Rutgers, and then just New Hampshire to play Double A. And I remember when I got the Rutgers offer, I didn't want to go. Jay was our star running back. Jay averaged like 11 and a half yards a carry in high school. He was awesome. I used to love watching him in high school, honestly. And he still wasn't highly recruited, and he had Boston College, Rutgers, Kent State, a couple others. And when we went down on that visit to Rutgers, he had a scholarship, and they told me I could just come. And I remember going and having that feeling of, of belonging. Like I belong here, and we get to the end, and it's Sunday. We're meeting with Coach Shiano, and he offers me. And when he offers me, I had that feeling of, man, I do not belong. I'm fooling myself. They're trying to see if Jay comes in and commits after me, and we both end up committing. And I remember going home that night and telling my mom, I don't want to go there. They don't want me. And my mom sat down and she looked at me, and you're a senior in high school. It's time to be real. And my mom said, sometimes how you get in places doesn't matter. It's all about what you do when you get there. And she said, you're going to Rutgers, because I wanted to go to prep school. I had all these ideas. And she was like, no, you're not. You're going to Rutgers, or you're going to New Hampshire. You got 2 scholarships to play football and get a free education. You're going to one of them. And so grateful that she didn't leave that up for me to decide. She knew what was best in that situation. And it changed my life, being at Rutgers and being able to be there with Jay and make lifelong friends, and obviously pursue the game of football. And it really had a lot to do with her just laying down the law really one more time before we left the house for good, and telling me what was best. And very thankful and grateful that I've been able to have her in my life. And, it started from high school all the way to now, when we got a call for the different parenting advice that she still gives down to us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I want to take this time to thank both of you guys, man. I truly appreciate it. When I reached out to you guys, you both immediately responded back, and absolutely, I'd love to do this. I'm glad you guys did. I really appreciate it. I know you guys both got families, and it's an off season, and you guys are trying to heal up. But I figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of promote you two guys, because you both are selfless, and you guys mean well in what you do. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of get some stuff on tape and let people know what kind of leadership is here, and what kind of men you guys are. And I appreciate you both. I miss you both. And again, thank you guys for being here today.